When my son's bride called me irrelevant at her own wedding reception, I smiled through tears and excused myself to the bathroom. Days later, I was standing in my bank vault, removing the multi-million-dollar family heirloom I'd planned to give them. That's when I realized some wounds can only be healed by setting fire to the bridge that caused them. If you're watching this, hit subscribe and tell me where you're watching from. Because this story has more twists than a tornado in a corkscrew factory, and you won't want to miss how it ends. I never thought I'd be the villain in my own son's love story. But here we are. My name is Eleanor Montgomery. For 35 years, I'd built my life around being Daniel's mother. Every soccer game, every broken heart, every triumph, I was there, his constant. When he graduated law school at the top of his class, the pride nearly burst my chest open. When his father left us for his 20-something secretary when Daniel was just 12, I became both parents, working 2 jobs while maintaining our home in the suburbs of New Jersey. We survived. We thrived. And my son grew into exactly the man I'd hoped. Kind, successful, and family-oriented. Then, he met Margaret. The first time Daniel brought her to Sunday dinner, something felt off. She was stunning, tall, with auburn hair that caught the light like polished copper, and a laugh that made heads turn. Her resume was impeccable. MBA from Wharton, executive position at a Fortune 500 company by 30. On paper, perfect. But her eyes, cold, calculating. They assessed our modest home like an appraiser looking for defects. Mom makes the best pot roast in 3 counties, Daniel boasted, squeezing my shoulders. Margaret's smile never reached those eyes. How quaint. My family usually has our chef prepare something lighter on Sundays. I should have recognized the warning signs. The way she'd redirect conversations away from family stories. How she'd check her phone whenever Daniel talked about his childhood. The subtle corrections to his grammar, his clothes, his mannerisms. But I wanted to be wrong. For Daniel's sake. Script part separator equals. They were engaged within 6 months. The wedding planning became Margaret's showcase, a competition no one else knew they were in. Eleanor, we've decided on the Whitestone Plaza for the venue, Margaret announced over brunch, not asked. It's $75,000 for the basic package. I nearly choked on my mimosa. That's quite an investment. Well, we only plan to do this once, she said with a tight smile. Daniel deserves the best. The implication being I hadn't given him that. Daniel squeezed my hand under the table. Mom, I told Margaret about Grandma's ring. The Montgomery family diamond had passed through 3 generations. My mother had given it to me on her deathbed with specific instructions. For Daniel's bride, when you know she's worthy. Margaret's eyes lit up, the only genuine emotion I'd seen from her. Daniel says it's over 2 carats. Antique cut. 3 carats, I corrected. And yes, it's been in our family since. We'll need to have it reset, of course, she interrupted. The setting is so dated. My chest tightened. The platinum filigree work is actually quite valuable. It's Edwardian-era craftsmanship. Well, I was thinking something more modern. Maybe a halo setting? My fingers are quite slender. I saw my mother's face in my mind, heard her words again. When you know she's worthy. I smiled politely. We can discuss it. The wedding ballooned into a $200,000 spectacle. Margaret's parents contributed half, though I later learned it was money they didn't have. Daniel and I split the rest, draining most of my retirement savings. I told myself it was worth it for his happiness. The ceremony was picture perfect. Margaret glided down the aisle in a designer gown that cost more than my car. Daniel beamed. I wept, telling myself they were tears of joy. At the reception, after Daniel's heartfelt toast to me, to the woman who made me everything I am, Margaret cornered me by the champagne fountain. That was sweet, she said, voice dripping honey-coated venom. But things will be different now. Daniel needs to prioritize his new family, me. Script part separator equals. I blinked, thinking I'd misheard. Excuse me? She leaned closer, her $8,000 diamond earrings catching the light. Eleanor, let's be clear. You've had your time. You raised him. Good job. Gold star. But he's mine now. The champagne turned sour in my stomach. I don't think that's how family works, Margaret. Her laugh was like glass breaking. Oh, please. Look around. This is my world now. Executives, influencers, people who matter. How do I put this kindly? You're irrelevant. A relic. Daniel keeps you around out of obligation, but we both know your role is over. My hands trembled. Daniel would never. He already has, she cut in. Who do you think suggested we take over planning your birthday party next month? He knows you're getting older, more fragile. Eventually, we'll move you to that nice retirement community we toured. My blood turned to ice. What retirement community? Her smile was a shark's. Oh, he didn't mention it? Well, I'm sure he was waiting for the right time. We've put down a deposit at Sunny Pines. Much better than you rattling around that big house alone. Before I could respond, she air-kissed my cheek and glided away to greet more guests, leaving me stunned. That night, I cried until my eyes swelled shut. Not just for myself, but for Daniel. Because either he truly wanted to ship me off to a retirement home at 62, or he was already under her control. I wasn't sure which was worse. 2 days later, Daniel and Margaret left for their 3-week honeymoon in the Maldives. The morning after their departure, I did something I'd never done before. I called in sick to my teaching job. I drove to the bank, and I accessed my safe deposit box. Inside lay the other Montgomery family heirloom, a diamond necklace worth even more than the ring. My grandfather had purchased it in Paris in 1925. 17 flawless diamonds set in platinum, with a center stone that caught light like a miniature sun. It had been appraised at $1. $3 million. I'd planned to give it to them at their 1-year anniversary. I held it in my palm, watching the diamonds spark and flash. Then I carefully placed it in my purse and walked out. On the drive home, my phone rang. Unknown caller. Hello? I answered, expecting a spam call. Mrs. Montgomery? The voice was male, professional. This is Marcus Wayland from Preston Partners. I'm handling your son's investment portfolio. Script part separator ===. I frowned. I wasn't aware Daniel had changed financial advisors. Yes. I'm calling because there's been some unusual activity we need to verify. Did you authorize the transfer of your home's title into a joint trust with Margaret Winters Montgomery? My car swerved slightly. I pulled over, heart hammering. I did not. A pause. I see. And the liquidation of your personal investment account? Approximately $340,000? The world tilted. No. Absolutely not. Thank you for confirming, Mrs. Montgomery. I suspected as much. The paperwork has your signature, but it seemed inconsistent with your previous financial planning. My signature? That's impossible. Marcus cleared his throat. Mrs. Montgomery, I believe we should meet in person. There are some concerning transactions initiated immediately after your son's wedding. My firm handles both your finances and Daniel's, and I'm seeing patterns that raise red flags. We arranged to meet the following day. I hung up and sat in my parked car, hands shaking. My home. My savings. My signature. Forged. I drove to my house, potentially no longer my house, in a daze. When I arrived, there was an unfamiliar silver BMW parked in my driveway. A tall man in an expensive suit stood at my front door. Mrs. Montgomery? He called as I approached. Yes. I clutched my purse containing the diamond necklace tighter. Richard Caldwell. Margaret's father. He extended his hand. I've been trying to reach you. His handshake was firm, but his eyes darted nervously. There was none of Margaret's cool confidence in him. I invited him in, more out of shock than hospitality. In my living room, he declined coffee and got straight to the point. There's been a misunderstanding with some financial matters, he said. Margaret was only trying to help organize things. By forging my signature and stealing my house? I shot back. His face paled. You know about that already? What I didn't know was why Margaret's father was here while she and Daniel were halfway across the world. But I was about to find out. Richard ran a hand through his thinning hair. Look, we need to reverse those transfers immediately. If this gets out, If what gets out? He looked trapped. Margaret made promises she couldn't keep. To some investors. Using her assets as collateral. Investors? I repeated. Or loan sharks. His silence was answer enough. Mr. Caldwell, I think you should tell me exactly what's going on.
Now.
He slumped into my sofa. The whole truth came pouring out in a torrent of shameful admissions. Script part separator . The Caldwell family empire was a house of cards. Richard had leveraged everything, his home, his business, even his reputation, to maintain the facade of wealth. When Daniel entered the picture, Margaret saw not just a husband, but a financial lifeline. Her father's companies were drowning in debt, and creditors were circling. We needed cash fast, Richard admitted, unable to meet my eyes. Margaret convinced me your family had money. Old money. I laughed bitterly. We have heirlooms and memories, Mr. Caldwell. The money paid for Daniel's education. She didn't believe that. She found your bank statements, saw the trust accounts. My blood ran cold.
When? How?
Last Christmas. When you went to get dessert. She went through your home office. The invasion of privacy stung worse than the financial scheme. All those Sunday dinners, holiday gatherings, she'd been calculating, assessing what she could take. The wedding, I said slowly. The lavish wedding. You couldn't afford it. Richard nodded miserably. We borrowed from Viktor Kozlov. The name sent ice through my veins. Even I knew of Kozlov, a Russian businessman with ties to organized crime. His investments always paid off one way or another. You promised him returns using my assets as collateral, I whispered. Without my knowledge. Margaret said it was temporary. That once she was married, Daniel would contribute his inheritance to save my business. Daniel doesn't have an inheritance yet, I said. And he never will if your daughter steals everything. Richard's hands shook. Kozlov wants his money in 48 hours. With interest, it's $1. $2 million. If we don't pay, the threat hung in the air. My phone rang. Daniel. I answered, keeping my voice steady.
Mom, how are you?
His voice sounded carefree, happy. Fine, sweetheart. Enjoying the honeymoon? It's paradise. Margaret's taking diving lessons today. I closed my eyes, deciding in that moment not to ruin his trip. That sounds wonderful. Hey, did you get the paperwork from the financial advisor? Margaret organized some things to make it easier for you. My eyes snapped to Richard, who looked terrified. Yes, I got it. We'll discuss when you're back. After we hung up, Richard pleaded, please, Eleanor. If Kozlov doesn't get his money, we're all in danger, including Daniel. I touched my purse, where the diamond necklace lay hidden. $1. $2 million, you said? He nodded, hope flickering in his desperate eyes. I might have a solution, I said. But first, you're going to tell me everything about Margaret that Daniel doesn't know. Script part separator . Richard Caldwell's revelations about his daughter painted a picture so different from the polished professional Daniel had fallen for that I could hardly believe it. Margaret's been playing roles her whole life, Richard confessed, staring into his trembling hands. Honor student, loving daughter, corporate star, all performances. Her real talent is finding powerful people and making them need her. And my son was just another mark? My voice cracked. At first, Richard admitted. But she does care for him, in her way. She just compartmentalizes. The Margaret who loves Daniel is separate from the Margaret who would steal from his mother. I paced my living room, processing this betrayal. Tell me about her past relationships. Richard's eyes darted away. There were 3 engagements before Daniel. Each ended after she extracted what she needed. Financial support? Among other things. One fiancé had political connections she leveraged for clients. Another owned property she convinced him to sell at a loss to one of her father's shell companies. My stomach churned. And the third? Heart attack. 2 weeks before the wedding. Richard's voice dropped to a whisper. The autopsy showed stress and natural causes, but the implication hung in the air like a guillotine blade. Does she know you're here? I asked. God, no. He didn't finish the thought. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus Wayland. Documents ready for your review. Meeting still on for tomorrow? I confirmed quickly, then turned back to Richard. I need you to leave.
Now.
But first, give me Kozlov's contact information. What are you planning? Fear etched deeper lines into his face.
I'm going to save my son, I said.
And my house. And possibly your life. But trust me, Richard, Margaret will pay for what she's done. After he left, I called my oldest friend, Catherine Barnes, retired detective, current private investigator, and godmother to Daniel. Ellie, what's wrong? She knew me too well. How quickly can you run a background check on someone who doesn't want to be found? Script part separator . I met Marcus Whalen the next morning at his downtown office. He was younger than I expected, maybe mid-30s, with sharp eyes behind stylish glasses. Mrs. Montgomery, he greeted me formally, then closed his office door. What I'm about to show you constitutes fraud. Your signature has been forged on multiple documents. He spread papers across his desk, transfer authorizations, power of attorney forms, even a hastily drafted will leaving everything to Daniel and Margaret in preparation for retirement. All with passable forgeries of my signature. When did these come in? I asked, fingers tracing the fake signatures. 3 days ago. The instructions came from Mrs. Winters Montgomery's email, but the documents were hand-delivered by a courier. He hesitated. I became suspicious when I saw the retirement community paperwork. Sunny Pines, I muttered.
Yes.
According to these documents, you're liquidating assets to pay for a lifetime care package there. That contradicted everything you've told me about your retirement plans. Catherine texted during our meeting, call me now. Found something. I excused myself to the hallway. What is it? Margaret Winters isn't who she says she is. Catherine's voice was tight with urgency. Her real name is Magda Witkowski. She's been investigated 3 times for fraud, but charges were dropped when witnesses suddenly recanted. The fiancés, I whispered. 1 died, 1 moved to Australia, 1 won't talk. But that's not all. She worked briefly for Kozlov Investments 5 years ago. The pieces clicked together. She didn't meet Kozlov through her father. She knew him already. Ellie, this is a long con. She targeted Daniel. I leaned against the wall, legs suddenly weak.
Why?
Your family name. The Montgomery Foundation board seat that Daniel inherits when you step down next year. The Montgomery Foundation. My late father-in-law's legacy, a $50 million charitable organization. Daniel would become chairman at 35, as stipulated in the bylaws. The foundation is untouchable, I said. Protected by ironclad legal. Not if you sign it away, Catherine interrupted. Which according to these forgeries, you were about to do. Script part separator . I hung up and returned to Marcus's office with newfound clarity. We need to lock down everything, I instructed. Freeze all accounts connected to me, Daniel, or the Montgomery Foundation. Marcus nodded grimly. Already done. But Mrs. Montgomery, Magda, or whatever her name is, she'll know something's wrong the moment she tries to make another move.
Good, I said.
Let her panic.
I need her off balance.
I explained my plan to Marcus, who looked increasingly concerned. You're playing a dangerous game, he warned. These people aren't just white-collar criminals. Kozlov has hurt people. I'm already hurt, I replied. And I'm done being irrelevant. That afternoon, I did something reckless. I called Viktor Kozlov directly, using the number Richard had provided. His accent was thick, his tone amused. Mrs. Montgomery. What a surprise. Mr. Kozlov, I understand you're owed money by the Caldwells, with my assets offered as collateral, without my knowledge. A pause. This is unusual conversation. I have a proposition. The debt is $1. 2 million? Plus interest accruing. By Friday, $1. 3 million. I took a deep breath. I have something worth exactly that amount. And I'm willing to give it to you with conditions. I don't typically negotiate, he said coldly. You'll want it this time. Because what I'm offering will destroy Margaret Winters and free my son. And I think you'd enjoy watching her fall. Script part separator . His laugh was unexpectedly warm. Mrs. Montgomery, you are not what I expected. We arranged to meet at a public restaurant the following day. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept picturing Daniel's face when he discovered the truth about his new wife. My phone rang at 2 a.m. Daniel's face lit up my screen. Mom? His voice sounded strange.
Distant.
Daniel? What's wrong? Are you okay? Why is our joint account frozen? And why did I just get a call from the foundation saying there's an emergency board meeting? My heart raced. I told him I wasn't feeling well and needed to make some changes for my health. Technical issues with the accounts. Nothing to worry about. The silence stretched. You're lying, Mom. What's really going on? We'll discuss everything when you're home, I promised. When are you coming back? Tomorrow. Margaret is upset. She tried to transfer some money for a surprise gift and couldn't access anything. The lies were already starting. I bit my tongue. Just promise me something, Daniel. When you get home, come to me first, before you go home to her. Mom, you're scaring me. Please, Daniel. There are things you need to know. Things I can prove. After hanging up, I texted Catherine. They're coming home early. Tomorrow. Her response was immediate. I'll be ready with everything. Don't meet Kozlov alone. But I knew some battles had to be fought solo. The next morning, I dressed carefully in my most elegant suit, placed the diamond necklace in a velvet pouch, and drove to meet the Russian. Script part separator equals. Viktor Kozlov wasn't what I expected. In his tailored suit with silver temples, he looked more like a distinguished professor than a crime boss. We met at an upscale restaurant where he'd reserved a private dining room. Mrs. Montgomery, he greeted me, standing as I entered. A pleasure. I sat across from him, clutching my purse with the diamond necklace. Let's be clear. I'm not here because I respect your arrangement with the Caldwells. I'm here to protect my son. He smiled, surprisingly gentle. Family. The only thing worth fighting for, yes? Yes, I agreed, surprised by our moment of connection. Now, show me what you offer. I removed the velvet pouch and carefully opened it, revealing the diamond necklace. The center stone caught the light, scattering prisms across the white tablecloth. Kozlov's eyes widened slightly, the only indication he was impressed. He reached for it, but I pulled it back. First, my conditions. He sat back, amused. Please. You'll take this as payment in full for the Caldwell debt. You'll provide me with signed documentation of all transactions between you and Richard Caldwell, including Margaret's involvement. That would implicate me, he noted. Only in providing a loan. The fraud was theirs. I need evidence. He considered this. What else? You'll attend a gathering tomorrow night. The Montgomery Foundation's emergency board meeting. And you'll bring these documents with you. You plan public exposure. It wasn't a question.
Margaret tried to steal my life.
My home. My son. Yes, I plan to expose her. Script part separator equals. Kozlov studied me with new respect. In my country, we have saying, never stand between mother bear and her cub. I set my jaw. The necklace for the documents and your attendance tomorrow. Do we have a deal? He extended his hand. We have deal, Mrs. Montgomery. I left the restaurant feeling both victorious and terrified. The diamond necklace, my family's legacy, was gone. But I had something more valuable. Leverage. Catherine was waiting at my house, along with Marcus Wayland. Their faces showed concern. You gave him the necklace? Catherine demanded. I had no choice. But he's given me everything we need to expose Margaret. Marcus frowned. These people are dangerous, Mrs. Montgomery. What if Daniel doesn't believe you? It was my greatest fear. My son, blinded by love, choosing his manipulative wife over truth. He'll believe documented evidence, I said with more confidence than I felt. And he'll believe Viktor Kozlov. My phone rang. Daniel. Mom, we just landed. I'm coming over. I took a deep breath. See you soon, sweetheart. Catherine squeezed my hand. We've got your back, Ellie. An hour later, Daniel's car pulled into my driveway. Alone, thank God. I watched from the window as he approached, looking confused and worried. When I opened the door, he searched my face. Mom, what the hell is going on? I gestured to the living room where Catherine and Marcus waited with stacks of documents. Something you need to see, Daniel. About Margaret.
His jaw tightened.
If this is because you don't like her, this is because she forged my signature to steal my house and drain my accounts, I interrupted. And that's just the beginning. Script part separator . For the next 2 hours, we showed Daniel everything. The forged signatures, the fraudulent transfers, Margaret's true identity, her connection to Kozlov, the previous fiancés, and the plan to take control of the Montgomery Foundation. With each revelation, my son's face grew paler. I'd never seen such raw pain in his eyes. This can't be true, he whispered, holding Margaret's real driver's license photo from her Magda Witkowski days. We just got married. She loves me. Catherine placed a hand on his shoulder. I wish it wasn't true, Danny. But we've triple verified everything.
Why?
Daniel looked at me, devastated. Why would she do this? Marcus cleared his throat. The foundation gives her access to $50 million and connections to every major philanthropist in the region. With your name and her skills, she'd drain it within a year, Catherine finished. Daniel stood abruptly, pacing. I need to confront her.
Now.
No, I said firmly.
Tomorrow.
At the emergency board meeting. You've already scheduled it? I nodded. Every board member will be there, including Viktor Kozlov. Daniel's eyes widened. You involved Kozlov? Mom, he's dangerous. He's also the only person Margaret fears, I explained. And he's agreed to help us. Why would he do that? I touched the empty space at my throat where the diamond necklace should have been. Because I made a deal. Daniel noticed the missing necklace immediately. The Montgomery diamonds. Mom, you didn't. I did what was necessary, I said simply. To save you.
To save our family.
He sank back onto the sofa, head in his hands. I brought her into our lives. This is my fault. I knelt before him.
No.
You saw what she wanted you to see. We all did. How do I face her tonight? How do I sleep next to her knowing? Catherine intervened. You don't. You're staying at the Westbridge Hotel tonight. We've already booked it. Script part separator . Daniel looked up, eyes red-rimmed. She'll know something's wrong if I don't come home.
That's the point, I said.
Let her panic. Let her wonder what you know. He nodded slowly, broken but resolving. What time tomorrow? 7 p.m., Marcus answered. Every board member has confirmed attendance. I hugged my son tightly before he left for the hotel, wondering if this would be the last normal moment between us. How does a family recover from such betrayal? That night, my phone exploded with texts from Margaret. Where's Daniel? Eleanor, if you've poisoned him against me, you have no idea who you're dealing with. I left them unanswered, each message confirming we'd made the right choice. At 11 p.m., my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Margaret, perfect makeup, designer outfit, eyes blazing. I didn't open the door. I know you're in there, she shouted. Whatever you think you know, you're wrong. I watched silently as she finally stormed back to her car and sped away. Catherine called immediately. She just left your place. My guy's following her. Where is she going? To Kozlov's hotel. She's panicking. Good, I said. Let her squirm. The next morning, Daniel came to my house early. He looked like he hadn't slept. She called me 37 times, he said hollowly. I didn't answer. I squeezed his hand. Are you ready for tonight? He nodded grimly. I just want to understand why. Did she ever love me at all? My heart broke for him. I don't know, sweetheart, but we'll get through this. Together. Catherine arrived with news. Margaret's been to 3 banks and her father's office. She's scrambling. The foundation boardroom was imposing, rich mahogany, leather chairs, and the portraits of past chairmen, including Daniel's grandfather. By 6:45 p.m., everyone had arrived. 8 board members, Marcus with his evidence, Catherine, Daniel, and me. Margaret arrived at exactly 6:59, immaculately dressed in a power suit, confidence radiating despite her obvious exhaustion. "Daniel," she rushed to him. "What's happening? Why haven't you answered my calls?" Before he could respond, the doors opened again. Viktor Kozlov entered, carrying a leather portfolio. Margaret froze. "Viktor," she managed, her mask slipping for the first time. "Magda," he returned coldly. "Or is it Margaret now?" The board members murmured in confusion. I stood, taking control. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice. I've called this emergency meeting because the Montgomery Foundation is under threat from within." For the next 20 minutes, Marcus and I presented the evidence. Margaret's true identity, the forged documents, the planned takeover, the connections to previous fraud cases. With each revelation, her face hardened. When we finished, all eyes turned to Margaret.
"This is absurd," she hissed.
"These are fabrications from a jealous mother-in-law who can't let go." Daniel spoke for the first time. "Is your real name Magda Witkowski?" A tense silence. Then, "I changed it legally years ago. It's not relevant." "Did you forge my mother's signature on these documents?" He pushed the papers toward her. "I was helping organize your family's chaotic finances." She deflected. Viktor Kozlov stepped forward, opening his portfolio. He placed several signed agreements on the table. "Perhaps you recognize these, Magda? Loan agreements. Your signature. Your father's signature. My money." Margaret's composure cracked. "You have no right." "I have every right," Kozlov interrupted. "Your debt is paid, thanks to your mother-in-law. But our other arrangement, the foundation control, that is finished." The board chairman cleared his throat. "Mrs. Winters Montgomery, in light of these revelations, I move to ban you permanently from any association with the Montgomery Foundation." The vote was unanimous. Margaret turned to Daniel, desperation replacing calculation. "Danny, please. I love you. Whatever mistakes I've made, we can work through them." He stood, wedding ring already removed from his finger. He placed it on the table. "Goodbye, Margaret," he said quietly. "Expect divorce papers tomorrow."